Hello diva dudes and dolls, I'm Kara Couture and welcome back to my sleek enough, straight enough, and strong enough little review show, Very Slay. We go over each and every one of the main stage runway looks on RuPaul's Drag Race UK versus the World Series 2. We are going to rapid fire go through these looks today because I want to get out of drag. Anyways, for those who are new to the channel, that's not the one. For anyone who's new here, when we go over each and every one of these looks, you know, it walks the aisle, but it doesn't take the cake. We give it an okay. If the look is so good it has me fighting bitches for the bouquet at the end of the reception, we give it a slay. And if I think that it's headed for divorce, we give it an A. And this is all in efforts to find my weekly slay of the day, my favorite look of the week, which will go into a post-crowning ranking video, which will be coming in just a few weeks to determine our slay of the season, my favorite look across every single episode. I'm gonna take that look and do a nice little illustration of it. I hope you're all very excited for that because we've got some really good contenders with this season. So this week's theme was bridal eleganza, which went hand in hand with the challenge being a wedding themed roast. Now, I will say, full disclosure, as I'm recording this now, because just of the nature of this weekend and how fast it's all going and how much it's got to get done, I have not watched the episode in full. I basically just watched the runways, I watched the critiques, I watched the lip sync and saw who went home. That was it. I can watch it when I go home. I can watch it at the airport even. We're gonna go into each and every one of these looks in order of appearance, starting off with Anaconda. Now, I really liked this. I thought the silhouette was really lovely, really elegant. I thought it was really sophisticated. I think my favorite part of the whole thing was she had this little pillbox hat that was just real tiny. It had this silver filigree that was carried over onto the gown itself, which paired really nicely with her silver updo. So I thought this was really nice. My favorite look of the season for her. Really strong week overall. I also really liked her look in the roast. I thought it was really cute, very appropriate for the theme. I enjoyed it immensely, and I'm gonna give it a slay. Up next, we have Le Grand Dame. Now, this look makes me think that something went afoul with her looks in her package, because her look last week was obviously bridal. And her look this week to me didn't really read as bridal. It was a great look. It really read as John Galliano for Maison Margiela. Just the level of sportswear that was involved with it, which I thought was really cool. I thought it was really an interesting design. I think on its own, it really, it's a couture piece, clearly. So I enjoyed it for that reason. I thought doing it in yellow was interesting, which makes me think it just didn't read immediately as bridal. I loved the headpiece. The jewelry was the best part of this look by a long shot. Makeup was stunning as always. Should we be surprised? No. But I thought it was good. I think it's objectively a really good look, but I just didn't think it was a great bridal piece. At the same time, I think the look was so good on its own that I feel like I'm obligated to give it a slay. So we're gonna give it a slay. Next up, we have our little favorite darling on the channel, little Miss Marina Summers. And obviously, this should really be no surprise to anybody here, but I'm obsessed. And I loved so much that I really liked that she took this opportunity to do a very traditional Filipino bridal gown, and specifically from the Yukon tribe. So I'm not familiar with them, so this was a learning opportunity for me. And her talking about on the runway how the gowns are hand woven, and that the gown was made by members of the Yukon tribe and given to her with their blessing to take onto the show, I think is incredible. Y'all are so proud of your countrymen, and you're just always trying to support and showcase your culture and your craft and your art with the rest of the world. And thank you for it, because it's fantastic and incredible, and I'm learning so much over this season out of it. And this is another opportunity for that. I'm not sure if the white detailing in the makeup was also part of cultural traditional things with that. I'm also gonna do some digging after the episode on my own because I want to know. So again, should be no surprise to anybody here that I'm gonna give her a slide. I feel like she's basically guaranteed to always get one unless she walks down the runway in the La La Ree paper bag dress. But even then, I would probably give her a slide because she would probably pull it off. Next up, we have Scarlet Envy with this Elvis moment. Now, taste-wise, this is not my favorite. I think of the 5, this was my least favorite of all of the looks. But I think in terms of execution, it is one of the best Elvis looks we've seen on Drag Race across any franchise that's done it. I loved the style of the hair. It was still like very Elvis, very readable as Elvis, but it was very feminine at the same time with this like huge pompadour situation. I also just really liked the cut of the bodysuit part of this. You know, I love a flared leg.
I don't know.
Exactly. My favorite part of this was the drape on the train. I thought that was really cool, the way it was done, especially when she turned. So I think, again, execution-wise, even though it's not my favorite personally, I'm still gonna give it a slay because it was done really, really well, and it works for the challenge. And finally, we have Tia Coffee with this sci-fi alien bride with this Death Stranding pod baby. It was interesting. I'll give her that. I will appreciate the fact that she like really swung for the fences with the concept. It was kind of giving like the childlike empress from the Neverending Story, but in the universe of Dune. So I thought that was kind of a cool idea, cool moment. I loved her hair. I wasn't the biggest fan of her makeup. I thought the appliques were a little strange, like the geode eyebrow thing. I thought the silhouette of this was really cool, and I liked the skirt treatment on it. The sheer paneling elements, I enjoyed. As a fellow long-legged lady myself, I do appreciate a moment to have the legs out on the runway. Another good week for her too. So yeah, I'm gonna give her a slay. I don't really have much more to say on it than that. Okay, and with that out of the way, it's time to pick our slay of the day. Once again, it should be no surprise, and I'm not just saying this because I'm very biased, I'm saying this because it is once again objectively my favorite look of the week. It's Marina. Like, she's demolishing these girls in the lip syncs. She's demolishing these girls in any performance challenge. And then on top of that, she's demolishing the girls on the runway. So obviously I'm team Marina for the win. Again, maintain my theory that if she does not win this season, it is solely so that she can be cast on a US Drag Race season in the same way that Jimbo was. Now, my other thing I wanted to talk about with this lip sync, I've wanted Euphoria to be on Drag Race for so long because it's, again, one of my favorite songs of all time along with Release Me. So like that double whammy back to back, episode to episode, oh, got me together. They did it on Sweden, but I was waiting for it on either UK or US in some regard. So I was very happy that we finally got it. Now, the thing that did upset me a little bit with this lip sync was that when I was prepping for my pageant step down, I fully planned to do the orchestral version of the song. I bought folk fan flags like Hannah used, but that were like trans flag colors, and I was gonna be in like an all white little bodysuit moment that was like fringy and was gorgeous and just like very, very transgender, you know, as one does. And then, so now that there's like this lip sync recorded and documented in the Drag Race pantheon, now anytime anyone does that song, it's going to be compared to that. This episode basically killed me ever doing that number because I don't want to be told I'm copying Hannah, because I've had that happen before where I've done something that is the same song that someone else has done on Drag Race and I get told that I'm trying to be whoever else, even though I perform it very differently. So, you know, you can't win, especially when you perform for mostly straight people who their only metric for drag is Drag Race. Part of me wants to do it just to do it, but then the other part of me is like, no. My biggest issue is I just didn't have space to come up with choreography and practice with them, so I didn't feel comfortable using them in the number, and it would have been bad. It would not have been as good as this was. Either way, the finale is next week. Literally tomorrow, the day this episode comes out. So you're gonna be getting like pretty much back-to-back content on this from me, because a couple days later, we'll be getting the finale episode of Very Slay, and then the week after that, we'll be getting the Slay of the Season for UK versus the World. And then we'll only be down to one season airing right now, and I cannot wait for a reprieve. So be sure, if you already haven't liked, subscribed, commented, all of that jazz. This wig is driving me crazy if you cannot tell from this episode. I'm so ready to have it ripped off in my head. Again, thank you all so much for the continued support. If you haven't seen the community post, we have now surpassed 500 subscribers. So we have that metric cleared for YouTube partner, which is so exciting. Be sure to stay tuned for all of it, because God knows what I've got cooking in this little content kitchen of mine back in my home, multiple states away. But that's gonna be it for this one. Until we see you again, be sure to go out there, stay kind, stay clear, and make sure that your day is very slay.